Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Pete. This series we're following the Driffield to Selby Railway. Behind me there is what you can see of Bainton railway station. Covered that in the last episode and we found some interesting artefacts on the way. This way is the station cottages and that way is to Market Weighton, and that's where we're going to be going today. In this episode we're going to be going all the way through to Middleton on the Wolds railway station, so hit subscribe, like and share and join us on that journey. So where we are now, the railway cottages are there and our plan is to go through there. We can't go that way in reality because it's all ploughed and farmers field. So the next spot we're going to is what's called Bainton crossing, and that's where we'll catch up there. I've made it round from Bainton railway station, which is in those trees behind us up there. That's it. Now what we can see here is an embankment, and I'll turn it round and I'll show you exactly where we are. Now that there is Bainton railway station, the cottages, and you can clearly excuse me, you can clearly see this embankment here. Now we are in between Bainton station and Bainton crossing. We've come along the edge of a field which has got a footpath at the side of it. Now this is taking up onto the embankment. There was a signal post around here, but we're not finding any evidence of that. So where I am is a transition point. That's my brother there who's with me. That's the railway track bed. You can see it's all overgrown, dividing the fields. And then at this point the ground levels out. There has been a bit of infill going on here, or rubble piled up at the end of that embankment, but then we go into a cutting and then past Bainton gatekeeper's cottage and across the road and then into Middleton. Now what we have found while we've been walking here is a lot of boundary posts. You can see that there. We've had to walk up the track to get to this point, but then this now drops into a cutting up to Bainton Gate crossing. I will show you how deep this gets, about 12-15 feet in places. As we get a little bit further down we'll nip onto it and I'll show you what it looks like. Quick recap, that's our embankment, that's where the rubbish was. This is fairly level here, but this goes into a cutting and we can see a lot of railway fence posts here. These are the original boundary markers for the railway, and you can probably see a bit of a shadow there. That's where the cutting's starting to go down. You might be able to just see that little bit of white there. That is the crossing keeper's cottage and we'll get there shortly. I've come a little bit further down. This is where the direction we're coming from, but I'd like to show you to start here that the cutting is now getting a bit deeper. Nice flat bottom, and then we're going up at the other side, and this is where they're heading down towards Middleton on the Wolds eventually. So this is the side, and that is the nice flat track bed. Go like that, you can see down here. Yeah, there's a tree there, but you know, nice and flat. And then it goes up at the other side a little bit more overgrown, and we'll continue on the line down that way. So the track bed we've been following along is this cutting here, which then begins to level out about there. I did show you the deepest part, which was about here. It's all private land belonging to this property here. Now that has been turned into garden. That is a track bed. Behind there is a private residence that's extensions onto the original crossing keeper's cottage, and we'll have a look at that from the road. We won't spend too long looking at it. I'll just point out what it is and then we'll cross the road and then we'll get to Middleton railway station. This is now Bainton Road railway crossing, this being the road. This was the gatekeeper's cottage. This is the only original part that's left. There are no original features inside the building, I do know, because I've been in there. I do know the people that live here. Our track bed goes basically where the extension is. crosses here. We've walked all down that cutting, is where we've just come from. And it crossed exactly here. Now there is a photograph taken from about there, so I'll insert that now. Now there's our crossing keeper's cottage. The track came straight across where I am and then through here. I am actually stood on the track bed, believe it or not. Now I've had to walk down here to access this area and somewhere for safe to leave the car. But this has all been a bit built up and dumped on. We'll get through this and I'll show you what remains of the track bed up there. Now I've made it back onto the track bed. Behind us we're leaving Bainton Road crossing. Thank you to the owners for being quite happy about letting us film that. It's always nice to have permission of the people who own, live and maintain these properties. Now we're back on the track bed and we're heading towards Middleton on the Wolds. Middleton on the Wolds did have a railway station, and I will tell you about that when I get there. As I mentioned, we've had to walk this way to access everything that we've seen so far. But what I can do is I can turn the camera around shortly, because there are a fair few telltale signs and relics of this railway. I say a fair few, don't get too excited. There is some interesting stuff to see. So I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you those. I've now turned the camera around. It is a slight cutting, only of a few feet. I'd probably say that. Probably about 5 feet. Might have been 6 feet originally. But the reason I'm turning the camera around here is to show you that gate, that post there. It's not gate post, that post there and there. All that side of concrete. And then if I go over to this side, we can see through there, believe me, like there, they are all wooden fence posts, and they're lining the route all the way down. So the demarcation lines are still here. But what I'm walking on is just constant evidence of railway. Look at the colour of this soil here. Black. I'm going to zoom in because we've got bits of coal and bits of clinker. And my brother Steve has got this to show us. Absolutely huge piece of clinker from this railway line. Incredible. Now our route takes us back down this way. I'll switch the camera on a little bit further down, almost when we're at the station, and I'll show you what relics we can find down there. This being our track bed here, that way being from Driffield, that way going towards our next station at Middleton on the Wolds, Market Weighton, and then on to Selby. It is a public footpath, this, it is maintained, it is in remarkable condition, and there is just evidence everywhere. We've got the original fence demarcation line still in place most of the way down. Same at the other side, all still concrete ones. We're not far from the station now, but if you were on a steam train back in the day coming along here, this is your view outside your window, just skirmishing the Yorkshire Wolds. And that way towards Middleton. We're going to continue on down the line. If I see anything of interest, like for example, bit of more clinker there. Never seen so much clinker in all my life in any of these railway walks. So this must have been somewhere they were definitely clearing out the fireboxes constantly along this part. And we'll continue on down the line. So it's a glorious day for filming. You can see that in the skies. Bainton that way, slight cutting, as I was showing you. It got to about 8 feet deep, and then it levelled out about there, and now we're going onto an embankment. Not terribly high, 6 feet max at that side, and a little bit less at that side because the land is dropping off that way. And again, beautiful views off your carriage. And we're going to continue on and we'll get down to the station shortly. Right, we're almost at Middleton on the Wolds station in front of me, what direction I'm going. But where I am now is roughly where the track started widening out for sidings near the signal box. I'll put a little picture of that up for you now in the corner so you can see that. You can see the signal box there, and then you can see it just starting widening off for the sidings, because this station did have sidings. Also had a goods shed. I'll get down there and we'll show you what's left of the station. So I am stood where the signal box was. It's just a council yard for tipping stone now. I'll turn the camera around, give you a bit more bearing on it. So where my brother is stood is about where the signal box was, maybe a little bit more towards us. That at the back there is just mounded up, but that joins on to what remains of the platform. So you had 2 lines going that way, and then at this point you had points going down there and widening out into this area here, which was the station yard. Where that house is, there would have been coal drops, a goods shed, and down where this path is roughly where the station was. There are a few relics along the platform. I will show you those, and I'll also try and match up some photographs as well. So it's difficult to see what's left of this station. There's virtually nothing to go off, but there is some things. Now I'll turn the camera around and I'll point out things where I think they were, and we could get a pretty good clue on where things were as well, for the reasons I'm about to show you. Now that is the way we've come from, and in the centre of there was our signal box. I'll see if I can get a little map up every now and again in the corner, pointing some things out to you. So that signal box, there was points there, track went off that way to the sidings, main track came down here. This is all raised where I'm stood. Now I'm not certain about that bit, but that may have been platform, and it's quite possible that it's buried underneath where I'm stood. Now I think the station building itself was here, and where that new building is there is roughly where the goods shed was, which means I'm stood on a platform, but it's buried. I don't know if it's actually under here or not, but I suspect it is. I think if you dig down and dug this edge away, you'd fairly soon come across a platform edge. And how do I know this is the platform? Well, we've got clues. We've got our railway post demarcation line here, but what we do have are 2 concrete posts of where the signboard used to be. This being one here, and then if we go to the side there, that there. That is pretty much where there was a sign that would have said Middleton on the Wolds. Now next to that is something a bit more interesting as well. Is this concrete post. That's an original lamp post, and if we look at the bottom of it there, we've got that shape coming out where you would step onto it to reach up to change the bulb. Now that's quite a drop down there. This would have had fences. We can see that there. And there's also that line there, that's brickwork. But what I can show you is, as we walk along this platform edge, which is now all totally covered up, but I believe there are some photographs of this platform edge online for you to look at if you wish to. I'm hoping to see what I saw earlier, because most of it has collapsed and gone. Here we go, there. This concrete wall is a retaining wall. Now that would have gone all the way along here, all the way along, to support the back of this platform. We'll go a little bit further down and we can see some more of that retaining wall here, just in the centre of your screen there, and you can see where it's been collapsing and falling away there. And I suspect down there, if you were to rummage about, you might even be able to see more concrete lampposts, or perhaps even signposts. And as I'm looking now, it looks like that's exactly what I've got here. I'm hoping you can see that through there. I will point it out to you. Here, straight concrete post. Can I get any closer to that? It looks like I can, yeah. Oh, this is magnificent, this is wonderful. There you go. And we've also got the foot rest at the bottom. Now what we can see here is the original fencing. It's even got these lateral ones across, attached to the perpendicular ones, and the retaining wall going all the way down there. But I believe where I am now is the actual original drop off for the platform edge, which puts me right in harm's way, right on the track bed. Our station was there, platform here, two lines coming down, going straight through here, down that way, and down to the original gate posts. Now there are some photographs of this station, and I will put those in for you as I head down to the original gates. As we leave the station, we can see all this edging, all this supporting wall. Now I've had a bit of a rummage around here, and I have found something that is, I've had to dig it out, but I've found it, and I just think it is totally amazing. You gotta remember, this is days of steam and cast iron, and it's this. That wheel there. To me, that looks like something off a porter's trolley. I'll just show you that a bit more. You can see the pin in the end there. We can see it is a separate wheel. Unfortunately, it has been broken, but that is what I have found. I'm amazed that that's even here. So this station had two facing platforms with a two-storey station master's house, and it had half a timbered decorative gables, which were uncommon for the North Eastern Railway architecture. It also had waiting rooms and a booking office up there. Now this is the original gateway to the station. We can see we've actually got the posts. One's laid down, one's stood up. Now it opened in about 1890, I think it was, this line, and this station itself closed on the 20th of the 9th 1954 for passengers, but it opened for freight until 1964, the 27th of the 1st 64. I'm only a few days past that now, actually, in 2024. But there we can see another original gate post. But what's magnificent about this one is we've still got the gate attached to it, and I will show you that. Look at the craftsmanship of this ironwork on here. You don't get that anymore. Yes, it's knackered, it's destroyed, but it is still there. And for a collector, those bits of ironwork are still worth saving. Now, after closure in 1964, the buildings were soon demolished. The signal box, it originally had 16 levers, was sited at the north end of the platform, and it controlled access to the goods yard, which is roughly where these buildings are, like where that new house is over there. It had 4 sidings, and one of them passed through the actual goods shed, but it's gone. Absolutely nothing left. It had a 5-ton loading crane amongst that lot. That's gone. No base there for that. The station buildings for here were demolished in 1970s. And it barely made any money at all. And that is your Middleton on the Wolds railway station. Our line continues down here, crosses that road bridge, Station Road, onto quite a high embankment, and then our next station is Enthorpe. With the gate post there in the background, we're going to be leaving Middleton on the Wolds and we're going to be heading to Enthorpe station. You don't want to miss that episode. We have got special access to that property with a landowner, who I'm thanking very much. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Join us for the next episode, and I'll see you in the next one.